So the ride into Baton Rouge wasn't particularly difficult. It was mostly pretty flat, which was helpful because it was such a kind of a nerve-wracking day because of the wheel being out of whack. I spent some time in the morning, truing it up and tightening up the spokes, and it ran pretty well for a while, but every 10 miles or so, I would have to stop and retension the spokes. So, as the day went on, I got closer to Baton Rouge, and it kind of, there got to be more headwinds, and it seems to always be like the last 20 miles you have to go, are the most difficult for whatever reason. Like the wind picks up, or it's brutally hot, or something like that, and and you're tired, and so you're just wondering, like, why is the last few miles always very, very, very trying. So I was about 20 miles out, stopped at a gas station, because the winds were tiring me out, and the clouds looked like they were quite stormy, off in the distance. And I got going again, and eventually did get rained on. It was very brief, maybe like 2 minutes. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Then I, tightened up the spokes, continued on, and then as I was going along, I heard the popping of another spoke, which was the spoke, the next spoke over on the same side as the one that had broken previously. So that means that the tension pulling the wheel to the, if you're sitting on the bike, pulling it to the right was completely out of whack, because to fix that you have to reduce the tension pulling to the left, on those spokes. So it was just kind of tough. Then I was about, I don't know, I want to say about 10 or so miles away. I got basically just on the other side of the Mississippi, over at Baton Rouge, the 190, and so I think it was about 5 o'clock, and so there was a lot of traffic on the 190, and there was a bridge. Well, there's two bridges, but the first bridge, was more of an overpass, and the shoulder ended, so there was no way for me to really cross over, and especially with that amount of traffic and a gimpy wheel. So I stopped over at a gas station near the bridge, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe, maybe there, because I was pretty sure I checked things out before I left, especially in this area. So I thought, I'll give it a shot, and I crossed over the highway and then started to head towards getting onto the bridge, for to cross over the Mississippi, but kind of that road lost its shoulder, and so instead of continuing on, I figured that there probably wouldn't be a shoulder on the bridge going over, so I thought I'd head down to the 10, which I checked out before, and it didn't have a shoulder, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway. And it definitely didn't have a shoulder, and with that amount of traffic, there was absolutely no way to cross. I think at least on the 190, and looking back at the street view, when I got to the hotel, the 190 didn't have a shoulder, but it's only 1.1 miles long, so that meant if with a decent break in traffic, and if I hauled ass, I could be over the bridge, in about 5 minutes or less. So I decided just to call it a day, get a room, and then figure out how to find some sort of transport, to get my bicycle over the bridge. So that way I can get a new wheel and hopefully finish up the trip without any more major issues. So that's what I'm going to do.